Uh, yeah, it's me. Back again. Because why the hell not? I've been up for, what is it, 7:42 right now? I've been up since 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, so I have absolutely no idea where my energy is coming from or how much longer it's going to last. Probably not very much longer, but we'll just see how long I can hold out for. So, yeah, been up since what was it, about 3:30, 3:45 yesterday afternoon. Woke up, got the got a text message notification from the county, and for better or for worse, I was summoned to jury duty today. Uh, and that was the primary reason why I've been up for the last 27 hours. See, I can't do math. 27, 28 hours, whatever it is now. Yeah, 28 hours. Yeah. So yeah, kind of tired, overtired. At that point where if I tried to sleep, I don't think I could. But it's also giving me a headache, so I know I need to sleep. So yeah, I'm just in a great headspace right now. So yeah, anyway, jury duty today. Um, yeah, I really really hate how this whole thing works. They tell you you're supposed to be notified mid to late afternoon the night before the trial, which, yeah, that works great if you work a standard daytime 9 to 5 job. Me, I don't. I work the night shift, working from basically 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So I wind up in a situation where if I do 1 day of jury service, if it falls on a working day, then or the um, or say that the trial is on a Monday, well, basically, if I want to be an effective juror, I'm going to wind up having to take 2 days off of work. I take Sunday night off because are you really going to want a juror coming in at 8 o'clock on Monday morning, who's been up all night working, and who's going to wind up being up, awake for 24 plus hours, going in, to going into these trials, and then say it is just a 1 day trial. Well, you want them to go back to work that night after the trial? No, you're going to be so dead from being up all day with the trial, you can't really go to work. So basically, if you are a night shift worker, you got to do jury duty. You're going to need 2 nights off because, well, either way, you're sacrificing a full day's sleep between shifts. So what can you really do? Uh, so that that comes into a situation where you've with it being such short notice, you have to notify your night shift supervisors and whoever else is in charge that, oh yeah, yeah, I'm supposed to start work at at 7 o'clock tonight. Well, here I am at 4 o'clock in the afternoon saying, oh yeah, by the way, boss, I won't be in tonight because, well, here's 3 hours notice that no one's going to be around to cover my workspace tonight. So best of luck to you. So I mean, I get it. Sometimes they'll resolve a case last minute, the day before the trial, so it kind of makes sense there. And yeah, most people work their cushy 9 to 5 jobs, and they've got they've got advanced notice, and they can afford to just putz around for a little while longer like that. But when you're working in a manufacturing setting, with where you basically are given 2 to 3 hours of advanced notice, and you got all this machinery you got to take care of, restart, shut down, everything. It really puts you and your employer in a bad situation. Anyway, so I get the text last night saying show up at 8:15 this morning. So I was one of, if I'm going numerically here, let's say in 1 hour, like 53 people that were called in. And that was, I got there right before 8:15 in the morning. I think that was the fourth time I might have been in a courtroom in my life. It's like the first time I was in a courtroom was 2016. I got called in for a jury service back when I was living in Eau Claire. That involved a criminal trial there. It was it was a case involving accusations of a father sexually abusing his what was she, 10-year-old daughter. So that one, I was initially placed on the jury panel, but when I raised concerns about my ability to be impartial on that, they decided to excuse me from the panel due to issues I've had with relationships that have stemmed from previous partners' experiences as they had been subjected to similar treatment in their childhoods as well. That has actually had negatively affected my relationships with them in their adult lives too. Not going to go into any details beyond that, but so I got released from the panel for that one, which I was totally fine with. I knew there'd be no way I could be impartial in a situation like that. So yeah, second time I was in the courtroom was also Eau Claire, about 1.5 years later. Oh, sorry, 2.5 years later, when I had my divorce proceedings done. Yeah, kind of fun. Fun fact: this was like 2 days after Christmas when I had my divorce hearing. So that wound up being a slightly belated Christmas present, as I was able to free myself from the shackles of marriage, just before the new year. So, yay! I was happy about that for sure. Oh dear God, I know I've talked about that marriage and how shitty it was from multiple times already, so I'm not gonna rehash that. So yeah, the third time I was in a courtroom was last year when I got my name changed, and the fourth time was today for the trial. It just so happened that I wound up in front of the same judge that did my name change last year. So small world, right? I know it's not that uncommon, I'm sure, because I think we've got 3 judges in our court. So we're not exactly a high demand court. I don't know, maybe per capita, but anyway. So, I get in there and I was like, I didn't count how many people actually showed up, but it was basically like like a church with all the benches and everything. It's like everyone's sitting there silently, no one's saying a word. And yeah, they just lined up. I think it was 23 people got called up right away. Got herded over into the main courtroom. Then they brought the rest of us in as a gallery. Is it gallery or galley? I don't remember. Anyway, we were in the spectators area anyway. Yeah, then I don't know if you're all familiar with how the whole process works, but they just chose these names at random, allegedly, and they start asking all these questions of yes or no. Can you be impartial? Have you been influenced by this and that and that? Do you have experience with XYZ? And if you answer yes to any of these questions, they'll ask you to elaborate, and the judge will always follow up by asking, would this impair your ability to be a fair and impartial juror? And I think during all that questioning between the judge and the district attorney and defense attorney, I think they lost about half dozen people off that initial panel. Lucky for me, I was never called up. But as a kind of it's a concerning twist for me, I think, because this case was also in a very similar capacity to the case I sat in. I was going to be seated for 8 years ago. This also was about regarding a sexual assault of a minor. This one, I think they said that the victim's age was only 14 when the assault allegedly happened. So, but still, given my history of relationships with victims of those types of abuses, I knew when that question went up that I would not be a suitable juror anyway. So I was actually waiting for my name to be called as a replacement for one of the people that got dismissed. I mean, hell, I've had actually my 2 longest relationships actually involved victims of that type of crime. So to say that I've been compromised in my ability to be fair and impartial, I'd say that's not surprising. But anyway, they got the jury seat selected and sworn in, released us. It was right around 11 o'clock this morning. So I only lost about 3 hours in total today, but I get home and yeah, I've got a voicemail waiting for me from my internet provider. I tried to initiate a name change with them last night. Yeah, I know it's been over a year since I actually got the name change done, but I've been dragging my feet on everything regarding that. Everything outside of the government stuff. It's like my internet, my electric, my water, even the title to my home and my car are still in my old name. So I just haven't gotten any of that shit updated yet because, well, you got to do it during business hours, right? Anyway, yeah, so I wake up yesterday, and actually I know I'm kind of jumping around here, but I wake up yesterday and I get this email as I'm browsing on my phone. I get this email pop up saying that my new credit card is shipped. Okay, being sent to the address on file. Okay, that's really weird because my credit card, it's not due for replacement until October of next year. So I'm like, okay. Email says, track your card by following this link. Well, I'm not stupid. I know better than to follow links from unsolicited emails. So I log into the app, and on the dashboard it says your new card is shipped. Track card here. So I check the link in the app, and I get this notice that my existing card had been compromised. So they were sending me a new one with a new number. So, and at this point, I'm confused. I'm puzzled because I have no idea what's going on. What triggered this? How serious is it? Place a call to customer support, and eventually, because their menu systems are just a goddamn nightmare, I finally get in touch with a actual human representative who gets me in touch with their fraud department, where they inform me that there were a handful of transactions attempted, primarily to Visa provisioning services, as well as one which I did not recognize to some kind of a hair care business. I forgot the name of it, but I was like, yeah, that one I don't recognize. It never posted because apparently their fraud detection was doing its job. But yeah, so apparently I don't know where the leak came from, where how exactly that entity got a hold of that card number. But yeah, so right now I'm without my primary credit card, which is this rather inconvenient and aggravating when I realize I have a lot of shit attached to my old credit card. Between the Amazon, Spotify, my water bill, my cable bill, internet, my phone bill, just a whole bunch of other businesses that I was using my card on. Well, all that's got to be changed now. What's going to be really irritating is I've had the same card number for what's been now 15 years. I had it memorized and everything, it's just 3102. Yeah, so yeah, it's real easy. But now I gotta learn a brand new one because yeah, of course I do. Oh god. So they say it should be here within 3 to 7 business days. According to the estimated tracking, it should have arrived today. Haven't checked the mail yet, so I don't know for sure. But probably tomorrow, I'd say. But I know I hate the saying, but it is what it is. I'm just irritated by it. And I'm glad I have a second card in backup, pretty much exclusively because of situations like this. Like I found myself in a year ago, and I started updating my information with the bank. They shut off my credit card last year because there was an incomplete form regarding my name change request. When they just out of nowhere shut off the card without notifying me. That sucked. I didn't even have a backup card at that point. I had to use my debit card, which, God, I hate the idea of using debit, when it comes to online transactions, because that's a direct line into your bank account. You don't have that layer of protection between you and your actual finances. In the case of fraud, so anyway, I mean, that was taken care of. It took 2 weeks, but we got taken care of. This, yeah. Anyway, it should be resolved by tomorrow. I think the car should arrive by then. Yeah, let's see. Oh yeah. Okay, so anyway, I'm getting home from the courthouse. It's late morning, coming up on noon, and I had a text from my pharmacy saying, "You have 2 scripts ready. You want to get them delivered?" So I tap the link, and it just says, "Ready for pickup. 3 scripts are ready for pickup." But no option for delivery. Well, that sucks. I just gotta drive all the way down there. Yes, the absolute joy that is a company, an employer-sponsored uh, medical prescription plan where you're limited to one pharmacy only. Yeah, okay, so we have 2 locations of this pharmacy in the area, but they're both, what's the nearest one's about 10 miles away, the other one's about 13 miles away. So, kind of out of the way to go get that shit, But, yeah, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to show this off. So, what I have here today is Transition in a bottle, or in this case, bottles. This is my trifecta of transition, for lack of a better term. But yes, I got estradiol here. Take 3 of these in a day. And just to give you an idea. It's probably hard to see here, but I got, I don't even know if they can be seen because I don't have my glasses on, so I can't really tell. But yeah, there are these tiny little pills. Got 3 of these every day. That's the estradiol, estrogen. And then was it last year? I added progesterone. Take 1 of these every day. And these actually have kind of a sweet taste to them. So I don't mind them too much. Actually, the estradiol also has a very, very sweet taste to it. I kind of enjoy it, actually. And then there's the one that I sometimes wonder if I even need to be taking it, which is spironolactone, which is this guy. So, take 1 of these a day. It used to be, well, when I first started, they wanted me on 2 of these a day. But we ran into issues with that one. See, it was intended as a blood pressure medication, but because they discovered that it suppresses testosterone really well, they started using it as part of HRT. Well, they put me on a 200 milligram per day dosage, one of those twice per day. But the problem that I ran into with that was, even though my T was being suppressed extremely well, it also had the side effect of absolutely cratering my blood pressure. It was to the point where within a few weeks of starting it on a higher dose, I actually wound up in situations here where I was randomly passing out, just losing consciousness at random if I would get up and like climb stairs or just do anything that anything sudden kind of movement or anything. I would just get lightheaded and realize that I'm fading out here. The first time it happened, I just wound up passing out in the hallway over here. Couldn't even make it to the bed here. The second time it happened here, I did make it to this bed. I think I was out for maybe a half hour or so before I regained consciousness. And yeah, the third time I was back in that hallway again. So there were also a few occurrences when I was at work where I didn't lose consciousness, but I was extremely close to it. So I brought that issue up with my endocrinologist, who immediately cut me back. I had my blood pressure taken a few weeks after that, and it was still at that point. What was it, about 2-3 weeks later, maybe 3 weeks later, I was sent in for some testing. I was having some issues which may or may not have been attributed to the COVID vaccine I got. I'll go over that in a minute. But when they took my pulse, or when they took my blood pressure, it was so low that they said they couldn't even do the testing, because I think I was, what was that, like a 75 over 50, or maybe it was like it was a few points below their minimum threshold for being able to do the testing, and that was me at rest, so yeah, it was like I forgot if it was a 69 or a 74, and I needed it to be like a few points higher before they would allow me to do any testing. So they had me sit, they would take some water, wait a few minutes, then I was able to do the stress test. But yeah, the higher dose of Spiro was no bueno. No bueno at all. So, but I'm back on this lower dosage now, and even with it being a lower dose, my testosterone is completely suppressed. The last time I had it measured, it was like less than what was it? What's the term used? It was a reading of less than 7. I think the typical would be like 250 for a assigned male at birth person. But yeah, anyway, it's actually down. I think even below what the average cisgender female usually has, or at the very like low end of their spectrum for testosterone. So anyway, let's yeah. So take all these, 3 of these, 1 of these, 1 of these. So 5 pills a day has changed my life. I wish it would change my voice, because I know how horrible I still sound. And that's what really irritates me about the whole thing, is that no matter what I do, I can't fix my voice. And I've been trying for about a year, like 2.5 years. I've been trying to fix my voice, and it's not taking. So I don't know. It's that whole thing. That whole thing is a case where I can go out in public, and I might sound like this. I might sound like this, or I might sound like this. I mean, I never know what I'm going to sound like from sentence to sentence, person to person. You never know. It's like you just spin the fucking roulette wheel, and you never know where it's going to wind up. Which I guess currently isn't all that big of a deal, but if we start winding up with more issues related to restrictions on transgender rights, and where we can go do things like use the bathroom, well, that could lead to problems later on. But anyway, that is an issue that I've talked about to death in other videos, so I won't rehash that here. But yeah, so today was it was court, come home, drive for pills, come home, and wonder why the fuck can't I sleep. As I sat there waiting for the notification about tomorrow's jury duty. Well, so my number this time around was 1916, and their messaging today says numbers 1923 through 1975 are required to go back tomorrow. So I fall outside of that range, so yay for me. I don't have to worry about it. I am done with jury duty for the next couple of years, hopefully. I'm just glad to be over and done with, because I never liked it. I never liked that whole idea that you have to sacrifice so much of your time, and basically upend your plans for a full 2 weeks because you may or may not get called in, and wind up getting paid. To call it a pittance would be an overstatement, because I mean, you get paid, God, fucking $25 if you work a full day for them. I mean, are you fucking for real? $25 for 8 to 9 hours of involuntary service. I mean, you're essentially being drafted, for a short term, thing like that. It's like, how the fuck is this fair? The great American system at work, right? Am I getting getting too casual like this. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, there's never any point to these videos. I'm sitting here in front of the camera, trying to talk, just trying to work on my vocal skills, try to become more better able to articulate what I want to say. You know, try to work through my stutters, my speech impediments. You know, just to be able to be more what do we call it, like a more eloquent speaker. And I don't know beyond that. I'll just sit here and look like an idiot, right? But let's see what else I got going on. Oh yeah, I got a message today from my care provider, telling me that they had an opening for me for breast augmentation surgery in July. It's like, well, 6 months ago, I'd be I'd be elated to do that, but around the time that the new year began, and I just started to reevaluate where I was, and my overall growth and development anyway, and just like I started thinking around that time, reevaluating everything, and I decided, you know what, I'm close enough to where I want to be in this regard that I don't think that I want to go through the hassle, the financial, the physical cost of getting the surgery, just because the cost benefit analysis ratio is just, it's not really there anymore. Because if I'm being totally honest here, what I'm looking at here, I think I'm about like 85% to where I want to be in that regard. I was never looking for a huge hair of honkers. I just want something to just to be me, and to get surgery just for that little bit of extra gain. I'm like, you know what? No, because you gotta go through the surgery, gotta do the recovery, which based on a friend of mine who had the procedure done last year, or was it early this year? Anyway, it was pretty recently. I think she was on restrictions after her surgery for it was about 4 to 5 weeks anyway. And I really don't want to be down and out for that long myself, especially when it's not going to be that much of a gain for me. I mean, as I see, I'd like to just be a solid B cup, call it good. I'm not looking for double, triple D's or anything like that. I just want to just something satisfactory. So, and then you gotta have upkeep later on in life, because these implants, they're not forever. They for lack of better terms, they wear out, and they need to be replaced after so many years. And do I really want to go through all that on a set schedule every so many years? And I just started thinking, I really don't want to go through all that. So I'm just gonna back out of that. I responded to the message saying that I decided not to proceed with that operation, and I'm just gonna see how much further HRT can take me. I mean, I feel like I've seen extra development over the past half year anyway, so who's to say that there's not more in store? Now, that being said, I am absolutely still going for the bottom surgery, but who knows when that's going to happen. I was given a time frame estimate. Last summer, they told me it would be a 12 to 18 month waiting period, which would put me at somewhere in next spring, possibly early summer next year. But that was based on what they had going on at that point in time. Before all the issues with, before they had as many red states shutting down their gender affirming care and, putting more restrictions on even the adult care, so, and unfortunately, when you start having restrictions in one state, even like Florida or one of them where it's, I think their thing is like Medicare or Medicaid no longer covers it, so you gotta start looking elsewhere, and you're gonna see people kind of migrating northward into other states that still are trans friendly. Yeah, I don't know the details, but it seems like with so much more pressure being put on on trans people in the red states, not just the minors, but even the adults in a lot of cases too are being pressured. You're going to see a lot more care refugees, for lack of a better term, flooding our local networks because that's where they got to go. So I don't know how much that'll influence the surgical stuff, but I wouldn't rule it out as being a factor. But anyway, I did not mean to babble about that too much. Anyway, I think I have babbled on quite a while now. It's 8:23 according to my TV clock, so I am going to stop this video before it goes on too long because, yeah, I don't want to bore everyone to death. So you all have yourselves a great evening, and I will do another one of these sometime in the future. Don't know when, but eventually. And we'll see how long it'll be before my glasses come in. Yeah, I got tired of those frames because they're the ones I had for the last 10 years. Back to when I was the old me. They don't really fit me. They don't really suit me very well anymore. So I got new frames. Damn things would have cost me $380 if I didn't have the insurance. Still around me $73 to get them, even with insurance. But still, I'll take that. Anyway, I will talk to you later and hope you have a great night.